Stewie, you look gross. You look like Lou Ferrigno's poop.
I look like a guy who's been hitting the gym.
It has nothing to do with the gym. You're on drugs.
Doesn't matter how you find the pot of gold, be to the Ryan. All that matters is that you beat the leprechauns.
That doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't have to make sense when you look like this. Ugh! I am hotter than phone sex with a blind girl.
What's happening, guys? It's Nick Boleto from BoletoBrigade bringing you guys another commentary. So this week I did the sumo deadlift, and I was really excited about this session because I was having a friendly little competition with Mio from Primal Training. So Mio, if you don't follow him, he pulls sumo, really strong sumo puller. He competes in the 74 kilo class and he deadlifts 600 pounds in training. I am right around 93 to 95 kilos right now, and I haven't tested my deadlift in a while, but I pull conventional and probably could pull somewhere around 550 maybe. And so we had a little competition last Saturday. I pulled sumo and he pulled conventional for a 1 rep max, and I actually ended up besting him. I pulled 465, he only managed to pull 455, so I was pretty excited about that. But anyways, I'm not going to talk about the lifting footage for the rest of this video. I did some spoto press, and then I did competition squats. Didn't get any footage of my dynamic effort upper day. I was back at my school gym, and the guys working there were just watching me like a hawk. But I've been getting a lot of questions recently, about the conjugate method just in general, and there's one thing that I kind of want to touch upon, and then I'll touch upon more if I have time. But so one thing that I've been getting a lot of questions about is, Nick, all right, I understand that when you're picking variations to do on your max effort days, or when you're picking accessory work, like it is aimed to bring up weak points, whether that is building muscle in weak areas or if it is working on a movement that is going to target a weak point within a lift. But how do I periodize that in the grand scheme of things? So I'm not just going into the gym and just doing a random movement, more or less. And I'm not an expert. I'm only about, I believe this is the 4th week of Conjugate that you guys are seeing, and I'm currently on my 5th week now. So by no means am I an expert. I've only been doing the Conjugate for 4 weeks, and while I feel like I'm making decent progress, again, I'm not that strong to begin with, so me making progress really isn't all that impressive. Somebody like Garrett and Simon from Aesthetics, who are pretty strong guys, even for their weight classes, the fact that they are continuing to make progress, that's what's impressive. So if you wanted a better answer, I would suggest trying to get it from them. However, I can explain the way that I try and go about doing it. So the way that I choose my max efforts is I sort of look at it like a cycle. So I sort of have a few different variations, written down in my phone. I just have like every variation that I could think that I could possibly do, or at least that I would someday maybe want to do. And basically I just sort of go about doing them in order, or I'm going to do them in order. I haven't really been doing it as of yet, but I sort of wanted to do the conjugate once through a dynamic wave before I start taking it a little bit more seriously. So the way that I'm going to go about doing it is I'm going to go with the hardest variation that I hopefully is also the one that I'm going to be using the least amount of bar weight with, regardless of accommodating resistances. And so I'm also choosing variations then that are least like the competition lift. So what this might look like for max effort squats is a front squat, then a high bar paused, then a low bar paused, then a high bar, and then a low bar. And then I'm just going to sort of cycle through them. And then if you have access to a safety squat bar, you could definitely throw that in there. You could do a paused front squat if you wanted to. I might even do a good morning on that day. But in general, those are the main 5 movements. Obviously, you can always add accommodating resistance as well. But I'm just sort of going to, each week, hopefully look to add more weight on the bar and get closer and closer to what the competition lift is going to look like, which for me is a low bar back squat. Then with the bench press, it's sort of the same thing, just going from a variation that is going to have the least weight on the bar, moving up to variations that are going to have more and more weight on the bar. So my first variation in the cycle probably would be an overhead press, because that is something that I think is important. And then it's just going to build up from there. Again, I am not completely sure which ways I'm going to be able to move. For instance, my close grip bench was a lot stronger than I thought it was going to be, and my board press was a lot weaker than I thought it was going to be, and my Spoto press was a lot stronger than it was going to be. So, arranging them in an order that makes sense is going to be difficult, but essentially it's going to go overhead press, then a bunch of different variations, Spoto presses, pin presses, board presses, close grip paused, possibly going for rep PRs instead of just 1 rep maxes, and then eventually getting up to slingshot, so overload work, maybe 2 to 3 weeks before the meet, possibly handling my old 1 rep max for reps, maybe handling a load that's even heavier. We'll see when we get there, but essentially just working on getting more and more weight on the bar. And then deadlifts is much the same way. So starting off with lifts with accommodating resistance, so a deficit deadlift with bands, a sumo deadlift with bands, which I'm even weaker in. I found out this week I'm still significantly weaker in sumo despite training it for quite some time here. And deficit deadlift with bands, block pull with bands, from the floor with bands, then taking away the bands, working on the sumo, working on the deficit without bands, and working on sumo block pulls, straight weight block pulls, and then possibly trying a reverse band deadlift like I did a few weeks ago. So that's sort of my approach to training. I hope you guys enjoy this video. If you did, remember to comment, like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.